it is me. I am here, sat in my seat, in this old chair. I didn't have an intro planned for this at all, in case that wasn't blatantly fucking obvious. Not that I ever do, mind you. Let me just, turn the old brightness down, so I don't look like a ghoul. Though the darkness is more to hide my ghoulish visage, more than anything else. Basically, we're doing world building today. That's what we're doing. Believe it or not, you know. I know that's pretty big brain, you know. Have to be of a higher IQ to have caught on to that thus far. But yeah, that's what we're doing. That's what we do be doing. Plan is, I'm gonna get my Word doc. Give me a second. Here we go. Oh, here comes the jar. Oh, there they go. Oh, one of them just popped out at the end. God, they're fucking going. I'm just going to quickly, because I realise I forgot to do... I forgot to be like good at yes, brain category large. Oh. Right. Oh, thick brain. Ah, yes. The true intellectuals of our great realm. But I'm just going to tilt this down a bit. Indeed, they did. So basically, the plan is obviously we're doing world building, but what for specifically? Because for people who haven't watched the previous streams, normally on a Friday evening, I design a Magic set, like a custom Magic the Gathering set, because I love that shit. It's good fun. It's exploring constrained design space is very fun, especially in a game that is as complex as something like Magic. I want to take a little bit of break from that, and instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to develop the setting that set exists within. For anyone who hasn't played Magic before, most of the sets are set on different planes, which are kind of like planets, except there's no space travel, and they're all like generally medieval fantasy. And all of the planes have a theme. So, for example, Amonkhet is the plane that's inspired by Egyptian mythology. Theros is the plane that's inspired by Greek mythology. You have Ravnica, which is a plane that is one giant city. You have New Phyrexia, which is terrifying. Just like, if you want to be unsettled, go Google Phyrexian Unlife. Phyrexian is spelt like that. Phyrexxian. If you wish to be deeply unsettled, go search for Phyrexian Unlife, and you'll get all the vibes you need from that. It's very unpleasant. It's not, it's not gore or anything, so don't worry about that. But it's just not nice. You just look at it and go, oh no. Yeah. So yeah. Greetings, Kitty. Welcome in. We do be doing some fucking world building. We do be doing some straight world building, or maybe some gay world building. You never know with these things. You never know. Either way, the concept for the plane in general. I will go and grab the sex. I'm gonna actually open the damn thing. I should probably do that. Give me a second. we are world building for my Magic set. Let me move to screen. So this is the set I've been working on for a little while. There's a good number of cards, and it's a reasonable amount done. There's still a lot more to do, but the main sort of draw of the set is that basically it is inspired by the War of the Roses. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, which is a lot of people, the War of the Roses is, I think the best way to describe it, the War of the Roses inspired George R. R. Martin. Like, the War of the Roses is if Game of Thrones was real, and that's kind of, yeah, the you know, I personally was not taught anything about the War of the Roses, and my friend Ruben, who occasionally appears in chat to spam PogChamp every so often, he's a history major, so he was real annoyed when I didn't know anything about the War of the Roses, and I looked into it and I was like, oh shit, this is really interesting. And yeah, so basically, I was really intrigued by the concept of just these, and just the idea of like the warring houses I thought was really fun, and Magic is split into 5 colors, and you can combine those different colors in many different ways. Yes, I'd forgotten that's what my shout-out was. They seem like a pretty Chad gamer. Yes. But yeah, basically the idea of the plane is that there are 5 houses of nobles. Oh, there we go, 5. All descended from one king. Indeed it is. They're all descended from one king, and they're all vying for the throne. And these sort of lords who are like kind of the face of their house. There's Beauregard, the Lord of Rucaster. He is a vampire. There is Eris, the lady of House Anjit, and she is the oldest. Well, her and Beauregard are the oldest, because Beauregard, he's a vampire, so he doesn't age, and Eris is like 60 years old. Like she's pretty old. Everard, he is the Lord of House Ferox. The Duelist of the Roses. I feel like I should know what this is, but I also feel like I should not. God, good lord. Wait, it's a PS... I thought it was one of the movies, but it's a fucking PS2 game? What? Excuse me? How? I'm confused. Why is this here? Is loosely based around the real world War of the Roses? What? I'm so confused. Right, I'm gonna close this now. But yeah, we indeed. There's Serapis, who is basically he's like a warlock. He does like some spooky spirit stuff, and then Rain is like the bastard granddaughter of the king, and she's like married into a royal house and is starting a peasant rebellion. What are you dying at Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelists of the Roses? Because I'd say somebody fucking, it's just I don't know how they make this shit up, you know. Yugi Moto is Henry Tudor. My grandfather's country has no bad peasants. Well, shame that you're wrong. But yeah, basically the idea of the set is you have these 5 characters with their houses vying for control over Bellurex. The way that we can develop the set further in a way that's really interesting is by actually deciding what Bellurex is like. Obviously, it's based on the War of the Roses, so it is going to be based on the UK. You know, there's going to be Moors. I don't know. It's been a recent thing. There was the Phil Swift Wikia, which was a whole thing. And I think in the past we've looked at like a couple of things, but it's not anything too weird. But either way. Like, since it's based on the UK, there's going to be small mountains, rolling hills, plains, like moors. No, this is War of the Roses era, so it's like proper medieval. Like, this is almost like this is like super low magic. There are wizards and shit, like Serapis, he's straight up like a warlock. He, you know, controls spirits, and Beauregard is a fucking vampire. But like the whole rest of the plane is super low magic. You have Kaladesh for that. You got bloody Kaladesh for that. But to be fair, I suppose Kaladesh is like magic punk more than anything else, but I think it's kind of the punk aspect is sort of there. Oh god. Let me go back to the word dog. On a quick side note, actually, for anyone who plays the old Dungeons and Dragons, yeah. Anyone who plays the old Dungeons and Dragons, I updated some of my old stuff today. You can see over here, the Hero's Handbook Volume 1 has been updated. Very, very nice, Joe. Very nice. Jungle Skoog and door handles. Dunkoobs and Dracoobs. Deegans and Dragoons. Deegans und Dragoons. Gotta get, hang on. There's French Google Translate. Give me a second. Not sure how loud this is going to be, so prepare yourselves.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, it's not that bad, actually. So there you go. You get French Google Translate in all of its glory. Hang on, there's I suppose I better plug my own shit properly and do my command. There you go. There's my homebrew junk. If anybody, the Inquisitor pay what you want version, you can go read the class for free, or most of it anyway. You know, it's advertising. I'm good at it. Jungle Skorga Thickled. Jungle Skog just sounds like some kind. It's a town in like northern Sweden. Hello, welcome to Jungle Skog. That's yeah. Either way, this is the plane. This is Bellurex. We have some dudes. So we're gonna first of all factions. Let me go grab something real quick, because I'd made a big old family tree to help with set design. That was like my opening piece of like thing. Give me a second. Oh, fuck me. Hasn't done it right at all. Hang on. Let's grab this. Right, trying to like... There we go, right. So we have a whole ass family tree over here. It's pretty big too. So we have Baldric. He is the king, right? He's the king who's dead. And he had 5 kids. His first wife, he has Serapis. And then with his second wife, he has a bunch of other kids. He has Eris, Beauregard, and Everard. And from there, some of these people are still alive. So Beauregard is still alive, Eris is still alive. The rest of them are have their kids, like Serapis and Serapis the second. Everard, he was the third, Everard the fourth. Beauregard hasn't had any kids. And then, of course, there is his bastard child, Winona, whose daughter, Rain, married into House Lockstar. That is how that goes, and how she is sort of geared in... Let me go find Rain. Here she is. So her mechanic's called Underdog. She uses weak creatures, which are generally peasants in the set. So she's sort of geared as this good character. She's a protagonist. She's the protagonist, but she's not good. I think is the best point. She has she champions a noble cause, but her personal desires have very little to do with that cause. She wants the throne, and that's ultimately all she really cares about. She will throw her cause down the piss if it means that she gets the throne. She is... All of these people, all 5 of these people are objectively horrible people. That's another big thing that you see in fantasy media a lot, where, you know, monarchy is fine because there's a good king. And obviously that's fine. Like, it's, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. It's cliche, but, like, it's not a problem that it's a thing. Whereas we are explicitly painting these 5 as shitty people. They're all shitty people in their own way. Rain is probably the nicest of all of them, but she's still a bad person. Like, Beauregard is a like decadent, snooty vampire who, you know, he's a vampire, so he kills people for fun. Well, not necessarily for fun. He definitely does, though. Eris is a conniving schemer who hang on, there's some flavor text. Assassin Serpent. The boy has to go. He will ruin the line of succession. That's a quote from her. She'll kill a baby. Like, she doesn't give a shit. She's a bad person. Everard, the only thing he cares about is war and conquest, and once he runs out of places to conquer, he's going to be a terrible king. And it's probably going to end up way worse. Rain, already been described, and Serapis, he was initially like an okay dude, like his father especially, good guy, like ostensibly a good person. He is like, well, I can't amass enough soldiers, so let's make fucking ghost soldiers. Let's do it. So he learns ancient like witchcraft and becomes a warlock and starts binding spirits. and teaches a lot of his higher-ups to do it too. So, yeah, there's a whole bunch of just, like, straight up just, all of these guys are evil. And all of their factions, so let me go back here, let me go back to Word doc. Oh, I'm gonna finish my tea actually. I know that was a lot of build up, but you know, I wanted to make sure everybody was on the right page. So we have several factions. We have the Anjet. We have we have House Ferox. We have House Milsad. Oh, we have House Rucaster, and we have House Lockstar. Let's move these guys up here. So, my plan with this eventually, obviously not today, I'm going to make a map. I'm going to make some areas, some detailed locations, things like that. I'm going to try and like keep everything working smoothly. I think it's like the main plan really. So factions, the Anjet are led by Eris, and basically the Anjet have the smallest military, but they are basically they're the richest, or they're one of the richest at least. The Rucaster are probably the richest. So I'm just gonna make some notes to start with. Is the Rucaster richest? The Ferox are the most powerful army. Underdogs that are the most resourceful and most cunning. Oh no, cunning. Oh no. I said cunning and I wrote something very different. Oh no, that's not good. Milsad are there's not really a way to sort of, they're not the most anything. They're sort of the spooky, right? I'll probably just put a house here as well, just haha. Very nice, very nice. So from there we kind of have we have like a pretty good idea of what these people are about, like led by Eris, led by Everard IV, led by Rain, they're led by Serapis II, led by Beauregard. Sadly not, no. So, I think the first thing we'll probably write here is history. Now, I think I may have had something. Ah, welcome in, welcome in. Oh. God, itchy nose. So we're doing some world building. But that's in the title. You probably already worked that one out. That's a bit of a fucking pointless statement there, but never mind. I did have some notes. No, it's literally just it's a blank Word document. I was like, oh, I have some notes, but no, I didn't at all. Oh. So history is so King Baldric III. So it's really about King Baldric III was a well-respected king and leader. That's a mood right there. That's a mood right there. He ruled a sizable island. Nah, that's just his name. I mean, he was pretty old, so he probably would have been bald. But yeah, like he was like, you know, he's like the classic good king kind of thing, where he's like kind of a not outwardly awful person and is a competent leader, which is like, you know, it's a pretty rare thing in the real world, but in fantasy it's like a dime a dozen apparently, where like, you know, every king is the good king until he fucking dies, and then his dickbag of a son takes over, and it's like, I don't think that's how that works in real life, you know? With a firm hand, forging a balance of power across the nation. He had 4 children across 2 marriages. Oh no, he had 4 children, the first of which was to a No, I'll just go with the original description because we don't need to go into too much detail. Serapis, Serapis, Eris, Beauregard, and Everard. Upon his death, he marked no. All assumed his eldest, the child of his first marriage, Serapis, would take the throne. This needs to be a new paragraph here. This is the first time I've like written this out. I've had this all in my head from day one, but I've never put it to paper. So apologies if this is me just kind of like just like writing without thinking, because I know what I'm trying to get out. I'm just putting it on the page is more difficult than it would normally be if I was just spitballing, right? However, now this is something I haven't quite worked out. Obviously, within the context of like the official history, War of the Roses, the reason that the king's son doesn't take the throne is because, oh god, I don't know. It may actually be because he was an incompetent idiot and he did take the throne, but I don't actually remember. Let me look this up, because that's not what happens here. That is definitely not what happens here. Because neither of the none of these people are incompetent. They're all just dickheads. That's further down the line. Like, the War of the Roses officially spans like 3 generations or some bullshit. Like, it's insane. I mean, maybe it's 2, but even so, it's an obscene amount of time. Like, it lasts 32 years, so like, yeah, basically a generation. Or it spans 2 generations. Here we go. Disputed succession. In the early Middle Ages, succession to the crown was open to any member of the royal family. From the 9th century, the term was much more narrow context and referred to exclusive members of the house. Yeah, it was mostly just like no rulings and just incompetence. So I think here it's going to be a case of people assuming Serapis I is going to take the throne, right? People assume that he's going to take the throne because he's the eldest son, and that's been the general practice on Bellurex for a long time. It's not an official rule; it's just been something that people have generally done. But methinks. No. Serapis is fairly competent. Like all 5 of these people are, at the very least, competent leaders. Some are better than others, but they all have their skills. However, it's not necessarily about explaining. It's mostly, like, from my experience at least, you start with the things you want the world to have and the things you want the world to do. And I've also often found that going too grand to start with can be a pitfall. When I'm not sure, what you're, assuming that you're quite new to it. When I first started, I basically, was like this grand 1,000-year overarching lore, and it's like, you don't need any of that shit. Like, in the long run, it can be good to have, right? In the longest run, it's good to have. But realistically, the thing that makes world building good is culture, because your world can have 100 pages of in-depth history, but if you can't tell me like anything about the cultural norms of the people that live in your world, then your world is just a big block of history and nothing more. That is like the biggest thing for me, is that there's cultural practice, customs, beliefs. Religion is a big one. Religion is a really big one, and it's one of my favorite things to write about as well, because it's hell. I wrote a whole fucking book about gods, like about different gods that you can plug and play in your settings. Because I love that shit. It's my favorite. It's my favorite thing to do. No. Now I remember specifically, what did I, because I found something. Here we go. The world creation chart was, this chart here I found to be, I found this quite recently, but it does seem to sum up good things you should be doing quite a lot. For me, the most important place to start is getting some history down is good. But you really want to get like these two. What about the history is true and what about it is false? Because we don't have a perfect picture of everything that's happened, right? We like tomorrow somebody can unearth something anywhere that basically said, oh yeah, the ancient Egyptians didn't exist. They were like several different nations that all lived on the Nile. They were all a bunch of city-states or something, I don't know. Like, that's probably not going to happen, but... or they find a whole piece of written history, they find out something that completely contradicts the idea that Aristotle wrote this or did that, because you know, not everything's written down. So truth and lies, that's a big one. Cultures, super huge. It's not really represented properly on here, which is a big issue that I have. That it isn't. Oh no, cultural here. Okay, right. That makes sense. It's in the history section. This bit here is one of the more useful sections that you want, and then you kind of want to go into these two. But ultimately, you can come at it from any real angle, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, I'm saying world building is It is an art form, and it is very easy to do badly. But as with all things that are very easy to do badly, you very soon find if you do something and you go, this is fucking awful, you're usually right. If you look at something and go, oh, this is cool, then 9 times out of 10, as long as you have developed, because we develop taste long before we develop skill, right? We can listen to a piece of music and go, this sounds like shit. But we couldn't write, if we were to write music, we would write something even worse, right? Once you've developed that taste, because world building is a very surmountable thing. There's no theory to be learned. There's no, you don't have to read 50 books on how to write a world. It's very doable, and it feels very. Once you understand what you actually have to do, it's a very surmountable challenge. It's hard, and it does take a while, but it's fun. And if it isn't fun, make it fun. Put cool shit in there that you like. If you're bored by your world building, then your world is probably also boring. Put cool shit in it. But yeah. Also, I'm gonna link a series. I'm gonna link a series because it is a fucking masterclass on world building. It's incredible. I will sing the praises of Matt Colville until I am given ample reason not to. Because his content is incredible. Oh. Hang on, I'm trying to find like the. Here we go. This is Colville. I would love to do this someday, by the way. Once I've built up a slightly bigger following, I'm 100% doing this someday. This is Collabris. It's long. It's very long. You obviously don't have to watch all of it, but you can watch a decent amount of it, and you will understand some of the core tenets of how this shit should work. And I ran Collabris for like nearly 2 years. Oh, okay, yeah. So I ran a campaign in Collabris, as I think 2 of the people that played in it are still in here. They are. At least I think they are, as long as my bot is not lying to me. But yeah, I ran Collabris for 2 years. That setting is insane. And I mean, just like these videos it's an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours, 3.5 hours, 2 hours. That's like it's like 15 hours of work total, and it's like a world that's incredible. But yeah, I'm gonna stop gushing about Collabris because Collabris is really good. Go run Collabris. Better than the Forgotten Realms, that's for sure. The Forgotten Realms is alright, but you know, You don't need to read like a whole Wikipedia, like a whole like fandom wikia that's like 4,000 pages to understand Calabris. You need to read like 2 pages of notes, and you just get it. Either way, we're gonna go back in to actually doing our own world building. How about that? So, however, due to the machinations of Eris, Serapis could not. An army was raised to best. Due to the machinations of Eris, each of Serapis's siblings raised arms. Ooh, this is good. Against him to combat his chance to rule. This battle, this war, plunged Bellurex into chaos. And 40 years later, it still rages on as violently as ever. So this is the lore, basically. These 2 paragraphs should explain to you, at the very, very least, the concept of the setting, and I think it does that quite well. And I think then the 3rd paragraph of this is going to be explaining the current climate, and once you've read that, you read those 3 paragraphs and you go, I understand exactly what's happening now. This is great. And when you can sum up a world like that, and you can just do that, that's great. Obviously, you don't have to. There are plenty of worlds that, like, I'm thinking like Dark Souls, for example. To explain the world of Dark Souls, you need to, like, go on a fucking archaeological dig. You need to, like, go on a quest to understand Dark Souls. And it starts by playing the games, and then, like, watching a bunch of YouTube videos, and then maybe you might get it. It's one of those things where it's just like, you can't, explaining Dark Souls in 3 paragraphs is something you can't really do. Certainly not completely, at least. There's a lot of things you have to skip. But regardless, 3rd paragraph. I'm gonna stop talking about writing a 3rd paragraph and actually fucking write one. How about that? I'm also gonna get a drink because I've been talking like pretty much non-stop for the past 10 minutes, and I need to like drink because, hydration. It's important. Well, whatever. Huh. For all this time, only 2 of Baldric's children live. Who is aged gracefully into... What is the term for, like, a well-aged old woman? Because you call a well-aged old man like a silver fox, but I have a feeling if there is one for women, it's probably uncomfortably sexual. I'm gonna look it up, because silver fox synonym. Trying to stop me from using my ad blocker. Platypus is one of the I don't think it quite understands exactly what I'm getting at here. Maybe he has a Wikipedia page. No, there's an animal called a silver fox. No, that's not what I want. Urban Dictionary. No. I can't find anything. Who's aged gracefully into an elegant. Who is aged gracefully in her elder years, and Beauregard, who has sustained himself with the black magic of vampirism. There we go, easy peasy. Oh God. Oh. My spinal column goes crunch. Actually, I don't think. Hang on. They still fight. Many now sporting. Oh. Cadet branch, that's it. Okay, here we go. Lady Eris has aged gracefully in her elder years. Founding House Anjet. And passing its rule to her young grandson, who she guides. Who she has manipulated into her. Is it her grandson? I need to actually check, like, the thing that I made specifically to tell me this. I need to, like, maybe go check that instead of just assuming. Yes, it is her grandson. It is Baldric the Fifth. Oh, wrong thing. Oh, okay, yeah. Thanks for stopping by, Liz. She's manipulated into her puppet. Lord Everard fell in battle. Lord Everard fell in a battle against his brother, against his elder brother Beauregard. Elder brother or younger brother? Is Beauregard? Yeah, Everard was the youngest of the three. Whilst his son, Everard the Fourth, founded the House Ferox. Promising revenge against the foul Beauregard. Serapis the First vanished. But after he vanished without a trace, by his kin, leaving his son, Serapis II, to pick up the pieces, has turned to black magic, calling upon the spirits of the dead to fill out his sparse armies with undying soldiers bound against their will to fight. So he's evil. He's good to his people, and to his people he's a nice guy. But what he's doing is ostensibly real fucked. Like, dude comes to your house and like digs up grandma and pulls her soul out of her corpse, and it's like, right, your grandma's soul is gonna go to war with me, my dude. And then he just leaves. That's basically what his whole shtick is. So, kind of a bad guy, He's a bad guy. Turn to the darkness and drank an ancient blood. Turn to the darkness and drank an ancient blood. The largest brood of vampires. An enormous brood of vampire spawn under House Rucaster. Now, Rucaster, I forget the etymology of it. It's not a word. It's a combination of like like ruby or something. I'm not sure it's ruby specifically, but it's ruby and like Lancaster and Doncaster and other places in England which have caster at the end of them. So you got Lancaster, Doncaster, if I remember correctly. Lancaster. I forget what caster actually means off the top of my head. Oh, caster is castle. That's it. And Rue will be probably actually Latin for red, I imagine. Given knowing me, that's probably what it was. Let's have a look. Yes, rubrum is Latin for red, so it is red castle. Is you know, he lived in the red castle because, you know, red blood is red. It was probably the colloquial name, and then he was and then it sort of got changed to Rucaster. Under House Rucaster, finally emerging from the dark, emerging from a simple peasant village in recent years. A young woman by the name of Rain has married her way into the Lockstar family. She claims to be the daughter of King Baldric's previously unknown bastard daughter, Winona. But many dispute these claims. She is, however, uniting the peasants of Bellurex against... Oh, it's So this paragraph ended up being a little longer than first anticipated, but that's fine. So we could do this, to be fair. Yeah, I think that's probably for the best. There we go. So this is sort of like a piece of history. Once somebody reads this, they'll go, oh, I get the setting. I understand it. This makes sense. Because that's the idea, you know. Somebody can read this once and go, ah, I get it. And that's that. And that's sort of like the sort of the strength, I suppose, of writing in this way, is that you can basically write less than a page and sum up a setting in this way. It's good stuff. So I think what I want to do from here is I'm probably going to go for like another hour or so. And what I might actually start with, because I don't want to do an enormous amount of writing, you know, I don't want to sit here and just be writing for like 2 hours, because that's boring. So what we're going to do is I'm going to crack open Worldographer, and I'm going to try generating a map. I'm not sure it's going to work. I'm not sure if we're going to... I'm not sure how well it's going to work, but we shall see. Give me a moment to actually load Worldographer. Screen capture. Here we are. There's me. New world/kingdom map. %% icy, it's probably like 10% icy. 100% land, oh well, like 70% land. I mean, I guess we can do this. Kingdom. This is like a continent. So, the hexographer and worldographer, or worldographer, allows you to make hex maps. In case that wasn't clear. So hex is wide. Let me have a look at some of my other hex maps. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. Yeah, we want to be probably in the 50s, most likely. It's like 50, 55 by 40, I think is probably quite respectable. Let's generate a map. Ooh. Oh, this is like generated like a whole ass, like, because you got the fucking poles on this thing, which I don't really want. But I'm not disliking this this structure, I have to say. I'm not disliking it at all. I am liking it. It does look quite good. Obviously, we can change this as much as we damn well please. And I'm actually going to start by changing some of it pretty much immediately. I'm going to start by shaving off all of this ice that we don't want, because this is not what the world is. We might have some ice near the top, but that's mostly, that's mostly not going to be a factor. I was trying to rub these out, but that's where the map ends. Going to make this distinctly an island as well by shaving off some of these end bits. Right. Now, I'm not 100% sure how I feel about like this overall. I like the shape. I think the shape is quite nice. It's very it looks very natural. I think is like a core factor I'm a big fan of here. It doesn't just look like a blob or like a weird squiggly line. It looks, we've got like we have like, we've got some bays, we have some peninsulas. We have, there's a couple like straight edges, but again, this is a hex map, so we can very easily fix all of that shit. I know my camera's kind of taking up a little bit of the tools on the right, but I don't think you guys really need to see that. You mostly just need to see the map, so I don't think that's really an issue. It does kind of cut off up here too, but again, that's kind of, again, just a non-issue. Methinks. I'm just gonna remove the volcanoes because I don't want volcanoes. There's a bunch of dormant volcanoes on here as well, like an inexplicable amount of them. Something I may well do, because I'm not sure how I feel about like this overall structure, is I'm gonna do this. I think I'm gonna because I like the shape. I'm a fan of the shape. I think the shape looks really cool, but I wanna go around and rub all of it. Well, not rub it out, but there's a fill tool. I forgot there's a bloody fill tool on this. Let's use that fill tool. Oh. Let's say, I suppose a general world building question for people in here. Assuming like people have been exposed to enough media to have a favorite, Does anyone have a particular favorite world building set, or not world building set, just a setting from a piece of media? Because I have a lot of favorites, but I'm not sure if I have one specific favorite. Because I like Mercer's Exandria. I think whilst Taudore is not particularly interesting, I think Wildmount is like, you can really tell how much time Mercer put into Wildmount because it shows, like it really does. It's very, very well put together, and I'm a big fan of Wildmount. I was gushing about Calabris earlier on. That is like genuinely one of my favorite settings ever. I think Colville's official setting as well for his books and some of his other campaigns is just generally quite good too. It's very evocative. It's the kind of fantasy I really like, where they just kind of throw information at you, or they just start spouting off words, and you go, I don't know what this means, and then they go, yeah, you don't need to. Like, it's just cool. And you're like, oh, okay. So there is just a kingdom here, and I don't need to know its whole history. It's just here, and it's cool. And then Colville, nods and smiles from the sidelines. It's like, yeah, you don't need to know any of this, so I'm just not going to tell you any of it. And I love that shit. I'm trying to think about this. Transistor. Transistor, fucking love that setting. That might actually be my favorite ever, because it tells you so little. But there's so much you can infer, and so much to be inferred as well. Like, so much that's up for interpretation. Like, they talk about administrators. Like, what specifically is an administrator? They never really tell you, but you get the impression they're like the sort of heads of state, kind of. But they never illicitly tell you what they are or what they do. The one administrator in the game you never even get to talk to either, which is Gran. You get to speak to Asher, but you never get to speak to Gran. But yeah, Transistor is one of those settings where it's just like, trying to think, Runeterra from League of Legends. That setting is like, they turned like the turbulent, topsy-turvy load of shite that the League of Legends lore was before, and made it like legitimately really, really interesting. Like to a point where like I want to know more. I love the setting. I don't even like League that much. Like, League is a fun game, but I don't play it that much. Oh, whoops. I suddenly filled it in all. It is all mountains. There is nothing but mountain. Alright, let's make some mountainous lines. This isn't concrete, by the way. See, I remember you telling me about this, and I was like, why the fuck do you like? But and then you sort of explained it to me, and I was like, oh yeah, that is actually kind of awesome, because it's like, if you ignore all the card games on motorcycles, it is like, it's like a cyberpunk setting, and it's kind of awesome, which it has absolutely no right to be. It has no right to be good. But I remember, like, I remember you explaining it to me, and having seen a very, very small amount of the show, like many, many years ago, I remember it being really good. I remember it being, like, surprisingly well thought out and put together for A, Yu-Gi-Oh show, and B, a Yu-Gi-Oh show with such a dumb fucking premise. Because, oh my god, card games on motorcycles is so dumb, and I love it. So fucking stupid. That's a big one for me. The setting for Songbirds, which is a very indie RPG by a guy called John Battle. John Battle is like Colville on another level for me, where I will plug his shit every day, all the time, because it's incredible. It has no right being as good as it is. because it is just insanely good. It is absolutely bananas just how good it is. And I love it. I love it so much. His setting is like weird fantasy. It's strange and it's esoteric and it doesn't really make any sense, and it's like wacky fourth wall. It's like it's wacky, but in a way that doesn't make you go, that doesn't break your immersion. It feels so in keeping and so natural, despite how strange and abstract it is. And I say, like, whilst I have no connection to, like, WoW or Azeroth whatsoever, from what I've seen of it, it is very well put together. And there is a lot of cool stuff. Like, my only real exposure to WoW is the Warcraft movie, which I will still attest is not that bad. It was an okay movie. And by video game movie standards, at the time at least, nowadays, we've had Detective Pikachu and the Sonic movie in a very short space of time, which are actually, like, competent films. WoW, the WoW movie, the Warcraft movie, is not that bad. It really isn't. It's not great. I'm not gonna come out and say, like, oh, the Warcraft was my favorite movie ever. It's like, no, it's not. But it's not that bad. It really, really isn't. It's an okay. It is a perfectly reasonable movie. Mostly. But yeah, I say I'm actually gonna. I think before we press on, I'm gonna have to, like, go and grab Songbirds, because it is just. Hang on. Hang on, I'll open, like, a... I'm just waiting for it to load. I just want to, like, expose you to just how bananas this setting is. So I will read this opening paragraph. Babies come from volcanic vents on the ocean floor. They are spit out in bubbles and rise to the surface, riding the waves in groups or alone until they hit the coast. The occasional child is picked up by pirates or the floating city. Most babies wind up in Ran, the world snake, where they are raised by whichever family wants them. This wasn't my first exposure to this setting, by the way, but when I first read this, because I was already quite ingratiated with the setting, and I read this and I was like, yeah, it sounds about right. It makes sense for the setting. Then we get the drow, and it just says the moon may be the largest creature. And then we go, excuse me, the moon, largest creature? Excuse me? Its pull so strong that when it is full, the babies that come out of the volcanic vents are different. Their skin is shaded from the lightest of silvers to the darkest of blues. Their bodies, though, function on a different level. Their skin absorbs light and turns it into food. They must be submerged in water for an hour a day to let their organs drink, but they can also breathe underwater. So you could if you're a drow, you can photosynthesize, which is my favorite thing ever, and I love it. You can be an Oni, partly human, mostly demon. When a human gives in... Maybe it is. Maybe it is, but I don't care. I love this setting so much. I love it with every fiber of my being. It is I think is probably my favorite setting ever. because it's so ridiculous and it's insane. It's ridiculous in a way that makes you just kind of, you're so engrossed, you want to know more about how nuts this setting is. I also just love the way this guy writes. John Battle is a verifiable genius, and I love all of his work. When a human gives into temptation of a demon, their soul becomes tasty, edible to demon kin. Their soul is eaten entirely, they begin to transform into demonhood themselves. It's a slow process that requires eating a soul and learning the hunger. Unfairly, people, demons, and fairies can claim souls through contracts or just bad luck. It causes some children to be born this way. Or through the shittiness of life, the family that finds you near Iran could sell your soul as well. Life's not fair. But being an Oni has its perks. It doesn't specify what those perks are, mind you, but I assume it's like, up here it says tieflings, so they're presumably, they're tieflings. Goblins, they're the fun one. We're all goblins on the inside, which is a statement I live by. These are words. This isn't just setting advice. These are words of wisdom. He's telling us something here. Like, is he some kind of sage? Some kind of worldly... Is this worldly wisdom? Because it is. It is worldly wisdom. So we're all goblins on the inside. The part of us that wants to eat all the junk food, disregard courtesy, and walk naked through the streets. The part that loves alcohol and fucking, the curses and fights and cannot contain themselves. Also the part of us that lets our runes turn into garbage cans. The part that gets stuck in bed for days at a time, unable to move. The ugly sides of human emotion. It's hard to point out the exact moment, but this can make you a goblin, even just temporarily. Most goblins, though, are children stolen by Fae and transformed. Half-elf. When the elves were cursed to their life, the humans among them, gaining natural strength through their closeness to elves, decided to go to the moon. It's there that they stay, on the dark side. No more are born, and they seldom die. On rare occasions, one will come down to the moon on a quest. They do not return, as there's no current way to get back. There's just half-elves on the moon. On the dark side of the moon, specifically. And I love that. It's brilliant. The unseelie, animals with a human form. This happens on occasion. There's no other way to explain it. Dragon mutant. This I think is something that could work anywhere, right? You can inject this into any setting, and I think it would probably be cool and would work. Most of these are cultists. Some, though, are people who had the misfortune of hearing a dragon talk. The draconic language is a disease, and it changes you. Wizards are susceptible to this in their studies, as the giant language forms... as the giant language... it should say from there. From eons past is draconic. There are the rare breeds of humans who seek this change and take on obsessions trying to become dragons themselves. There's no proof of this working. Like, the setting is bananas, and I love it. I absolutely love this setting. I'm gonna run this setting someday. There's nothing you can do to stop me. You can't stop me. I will run the setting. Let's zoom in here. Okay. I wasn't suggesting you dive head on in, but I'll say it's less about like. Personally, I find listening to Colville very, very, very satisfying because he's an older man of worldly wisdom, and I find that to be like just naturally quite entertaining. But yeah, say the obviously you don't have to watch all of it, but it's a case of for me especially, it was a very good like crash course in like here is somebody who knows what they're doing something, doing the thing in question, whilst talking about their method and explaining the decisions that they're making, and I found that to be very, very useful. But I've just started on mapping myself. Oh. We're also exploring a particularly wacky setting that I've read about a lot in the past, and I say I'll probably run it for a different group, to be fair, that setting, but I have a feeling that I have a feeling that may end up happening, but I'm not sure. I think there is a very real way that that setting can be made into something quite serious. It just has to be done in a very specific way, I think. Oh god. Slowly just filling out this map with stuff. I suppose realistically I should probably start with so if I start placing the different factions, right? So if we get the old capital, the capital will probably use this. Oh no, you guys can't actually see this symbol. The old capital should probably be in a bay somewhere. Probably here makes the most sense. Oh, hang on. I think it is. I think certainly for me, at least, if I were doing that, I'd go, oh, that's awesome, and I would be even more invested. But yeah, I think that setting requires a group of people who resonate with it, and if you don't, which you obviously don't, then you're gonna hate it. But I fucking love that setting. I love it so much. It's my favorite thing ever. I think it's so good. Fill tile bottom. There we go. So, oh, we can rotate this. I didn't even know you could do that. Nice. So, there's like the capital city, and I think it's still on the slant. It is. Right. So we have like the original capital, which is like right there, and we need basically like 5 major fortresses. I think the Ferox capital is probably going to be like up here somewhere. They're going to have like some like grassland that they kind of live on. Like basically like up here is basically going to be all of their territory. Oh god. Don't mind me, just crunching my bones. Bones go clickety clack. So, Ferox is right there. See, there's. I think there's a difference. I think it's very much like there's nothing in the setting is designed to be intrinsically funny, I think is the thing. So it kind of falls out of that lol so random for me, because it's all designed to be, no, this is the setting. Like, this is, like, even if it's not like, you know, super serious all the time, it's like none of it is specifically there like, hee-hoo, this is hilarious. It just is. And I think because it's told so straight-laced, it's just so straight-laced that I don't have that at all. I'm just on board 100%. Because I don't like lol so random either. I'm not a fan of it, but I'm less a fan of it in like a comedic sense, because I don't think it's funny. I think it can be, but generally speaking, you can tell when someone's trying to do that, as opposed to when somebody is just naturally quite funny, just by saying and doing things. But yeah, no, I fucking love that setting so much. So it's definitely going to be one of them here. I'm not sure which one of the factions, but we've got some very nice natural borders, like around here, basically. They kind of sort of filter in quite nicely. Lots of water access too. Definitely going to have one up here as well, most likely. Probably like here. So we got 1, 2, 3. Probably one of the bigger ones down here. Four. And then 5 is in here, where I think Eris most likely sits in this city. She officially acts like her grandson is on the throne, but he isn't, and everybody knows that he isn't. I think this is a strong start. This is a strong start. So I slapped in this forest. Probably start putting in some more terrain. Kind of want to focus on the sort of the Ferox area, and sort of get like sort of that steppe feel, you know. I think this is how we're gonna do it. Yeah, mostly just get like grassland in here, really. Oh, these things actually exist on a set. Yeah, this is way better than Hexographer. Just get some extra color in here, because these two textures don't have any really like intrinsic difference. They're just two different colors, so it's mostly just like a nicer. This is sort of like a turquoisey, and this is kind of like a pale green. So you get like some nice little color like differentiation. So we sort of have like this area for Ferox up here, and then it sort of concedes down into a little more of like, yeah, we can sort of have like some, like a little bit of like foresty areas here. And then just sort of, you know, some open, like farmland. Maybe stick a little bit of grazing land, sort of dotted around. So Ferox will be like, I think something I want to do as well actually is, these guys, they're not the type of folk to like, they want to have access to like charging down into the wilds whenever the fuck they want. So I think something they're going to be doing is I'm going to do a little bit. I'm going to do a little bit of jank here. Now this might seem a little strange what I'm doing here, but I promise you, it will eventually make sense. Let's say this river will flow like that. Let me justify that by doing that. Oh, like that. There we go. Runs that way. Perfect. Perfect. Right, so I haven't put the rivers in yet, and also this should not be this color. This should be like, oh fuck, I colored in on the wrong bloody color. There we go. Yeah. So I use water C, I think, for the rivers and lakes. And I'll probably change this to this as well, because that really dark blue is super ugly. Where is the paint bucket? There we go. Much nicer. Don't mind me, just filling all of this in. But yeah, my hope is that with this little project, I can come out with like a cool little world, and it'll help me come up with a lot more ideas for the set itself, because I was kind of burnt out on ideas. I come up with some wildlife and like the cultures of all of the different houses and how they sort of interact with each other in various different ways. I think that could be really good fun. Did I use shoals? Oh god, I did. Coloured all these in the wrong bloody colour. Yeah, it's a much nicer, much brighter blue there. Looks a lot better. Contrast with the sea a bit more too, which I think is quite important. Oh, did I miss these two? I did indeed. Given they're so close to the sea, it's quite important that is. I could maybe do that. How do I feel about that? No, it's too bright. Yeah, way too bright. No. Maybe I could do this. No, this is better. There we go. Get some nice contrast. Some contrast on that bitch. Hell yeah. So basically, what I was saying before was what I'm gonna do. What I've done here is so rivers will always flow in the direction of least resistance, right? That's just how physics works. And we have this little chain of lakes that kind of spawned in when we first generated this thing. So let me grab a line tool. Shapes, curve, or just line. So the river is basically being sort of coaxed this way because there's hills here, so it's going to flow through this valley here and go out that way. Those are my thoughts, you see. Now I need to actually work out how to select that and delete it, because it looks horrid. There we go. Okay, I got it. Oh, God. Itchy neck. We have properly decorated one corner, one sector of our map. This is where Ferox are, 100%. So I'm going to write a little line here, and I'm going to choose a color. Where do I choose a color for my line? color. Here we go. Red. There, that looks like absolute piss, however. How do I move it? That is the question. How does one move things in Worldographer? Because I recently switched from Hexographer to Worldographer, and I'm now sort of like, how in the name of fuck do you move things after you make them? Because as it seems, you can't, which is a bit of a pain in the arse. Gotta. Oh. So the Ferox are up there. We have the Anja over here. I think the smallest area is this one. So this one's probably Milsard here. And we got the Rucaster, and then we have the Lock Stars. Nah, they shouldn't. The Milsard shouldn't have the smallest area. I don't think they should. This should be the Lock Stars. We get the Milsard. Oh fuck. There we are. We put the Milsard over here, get Serapis and all of his dudes, and then we put the Rucaster down here because they're very decadent, and they have lots of money, and they're all vampires, so they're pretty good at murder and thereby war, generally speaking at least. So we've sort of set out our little areas, got some cool stuff going on there. I think we can... We can sort of like I think this might be a good spot to kind of end things for this evening, because I'm sort of winding down a bit. Let me just webcam myself. There we go. It is big me. Hello. I'm just gonna save this. Saving things and closing them. Just closing things up. But yeah, I hope people have enjoyed things. It's a little slow today, but I'm just sort of starting to toy with this idea, you know. I'm not sort of going all out just yet. But I think the next time I come back in, I'm going to start sort of thinking about like honing in on like one area and detailing them like quite extensively. I think it's probably how I'm going to start doing this. Because in future I want to do a Collabora style thing where I come in and I'm just like make a world and people make suggestions. Right, that's what I want to do. I think I'll need like a bit of a bigger audience for that. I need to sort of wait a little bit and try and build up a bigger sort of regular audience, because you know the amount of people that usually are in stream is generally a little spotty at times, which is fine because that shit happens. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, say if you're new and you've enjoyed things, gives follow or don't. Like it's not that big of a deal. I ain't gonna you know. I'm not gonna go cry myself to sleep if you don't. It really isn't. It's not that big of a fucking deal. You do what you want. I'm not your fucking dad. But yeah, I'll say hope people have enjoyed themselves. I'm gonna go see if there's anybody to raid. I feel as though the answer is no. Let me just do a refresh real quick. I know they've massively improved like the stream manager recently. No, not really. There's nobody to raid, but well, that's fine. Tomorrow evening I'll be streaming some Hades, and on Sunday I'll be starting 2 new games. I'll be starting Dishonored in the afternoon and Cloudpunk in the evening. So if you're interested in any of that, stop by. If not, again, I'm not gonna fucking force you. But yeah, so see ya. Find the fucking end. There we go.